Heaven is an eternity of worship to our God. When we come here, the world gather together to worship. They're preparing for heaven. If you've never thought about it that way before, I encourage you to do that. When you're tired, when it's been a long week, when you've got some things you'd like to go see, some once-in-a-lifetime opportunities to go places and do this, that, and the other, remind yourselves that by going and worshiping with the saints, I'm preparing for heaven. We think it's this eternal home of rest and vacation. No, it's an eternity of worship. And if it pains us to come here and do this, if it's just in the way of stuff we want to do, we surely aren't going to like heaven. Turn to the book of Revelation. This is a book that we often hide from, right? It's figurative language and it's hard to understand. I was asked by those in our church to teach a class on Revelation, probably 3 or 4 or 5 years ago to the college group. And I was nervous about it, I'll tell you, just as you might be. All right, it's a tough book to understand. And I'm glad I did it, ultimately, learned a lot. And one of the main things I'm glad I did is because it led me to this passage, which of course had been here the whole time. And I never took much time to read it before. In Revelation chapter 7, we get a little insight right into heaven. And this is a vision, one of John's visions here that he has and he records. There's obviously some figurative speak here, but that's what heaven is described to us, right? There's not truly streets of gold there, right? That's how the Lord describes it so that we can imagine its glory and its beauty. And it reads, beginning in verse 9, "After these things I looked, and behold, a great multitude which no one could number, all the nations, tribes, peoples, and tongues, standing before the throne and before the Lamb, clothed with white robes and palm branches in their hands, and crying out with a loud voice, saying, Salvation belongs to our God who sits on the throne and to the Lamb. And all the angels stood around the throne and the elders and the 4 living creatures and fell on their faces before the throne to worship God, saying, Amen. Blessings and glory and wisdom, thanksgiving and honor, power and might be our God forever and ever. Amen. Then one of the elders answered, saying to me, Who are these arrayed in white robes, and where did they come from? And I said to him, Sir, you know. So he said to me, These are the ones who came out of the great tribulation and washed their robes and made them white in the blood of the Lamb. Therefore they are before the throne of God and serve Him day and night in His temple. And He who sits on the throne will dwell among them. They shall never hunger any more, nor thirst any more. The sun shall not strike them, nor any heat. For the Lamb who is in the midst of the throne will shepherd them and lead them to the living fountains of water. And God will wipe away every tear from their eye. How beautiful is that insight into heaven, to see it, to think of going there, to think of going home, of what we have here and what we can have there.